You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Resurrection After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Resurrection After Show.
Oh, you're on it tonight already.
Oh, I'm so jazzed. This is bringing me nice. Calm down.
Calmness.
Bring me calm. Welcome back, everybody. We're coming into your homes as we always do. It's the Resurrection After Show here at AfterBuzz TV. I'm your host, Zach Wilson. We're a little bit short tonight. It's gonna be just me and Chelsea Briche. G. Madison had a prior commitment, and Matt Lieberman has a comedy show. You know he likes to make the funny.
We'll do.
He tries at least. Matt tries. Matt, we love you. They'll be back next week. They'll both be back next week, and we look forward to them. But oh my God, what an episode!
The best one yet.
I think I might agree. This was
hands down.
Balls to the wall. I mean, it wasn't really, because it's Resurrection. It's not that crazy, but that's again what I love about this show is that you feel afterwards. You feel like I've been watching an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. type show. Like I'm just like so glued to screen. But in the show itself, it's still pretty calm, and it's collected.
Last week we were talking about how the pace is pretty slow, but not that we were getting dodged right and left, but the pace I feel like was definitely just a little quicker, just because. Or maybe because there was more thrown at us in a lot of different situations.
They raised the stakes again this week. They continue to raise the stakes. Like, we'll get into all of this stuff as we go, but like we got a little bit more of Marty's past. We got Tom and Rachel and their big news. Like we got a little bit we got a little bit of Jacob, and the big stuff that we'll like really get into later is that Caleb just
where'd he go?
I wish we knew. And
it's like, where's Waldo Caleb edition,
we're gonna be looking for him. Like, he's just in a crowd somewhere.
Yeah, he's just hanging, whistling out in the corner somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, let's get started. Let's start. We'll talk about Marty.
Okay.
Because Marty, like, we've gotten in the past a little bit of teases about his past. We know that, like, Agent Fred knows a little bit. He's done some, like, he called in some favors and found out something. There's something, when we know there's something dark about Agent Bellamy. Like, there's a reason he's not a police officer anymore. And I'm so curious, and we get a little bit more of this. We open up on something that even we were like, this has to be a dream, right?
But it's not, but it is.
At first, it's a nice, sweet little moment with him and Jacob, and he's like, it's the Army Snipers versus Godzilla. And it's nice and cute. And then SWAT team coming in, and it's like I've been saying, E.T. all season. They're gonna just wrap this kid up, put him in a plastic white tent.
Right in that moment, I really wasn't sure. I was like, is this a dream? Is it not? I feel like when the SWAT team was coming in, it could have gone either way.
Yeah, I thought it had to be a dream just because it was like too crazy.
Right.
But it could have been the thing, kind of one of those things where they show us it like at the top, and then they work back to like how this all happened.
Right.
And I mean, we've been expecting somebody to show up soon, but of course, it is a dream. He wakes up in a sweat, and like, especially when he goes outside, and Jacob is this other little kid,
right? And
we're like, that's not Jacob. But that storyline sort of develops as we go through the episode, because Marty goes and he talks to Fred, and they're investigating Caleb, and as we go through, as they're really looking into what's going on, we get a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more of these flashbacks story. Or I mean, what do you think happened? Who is this?
What I'm assuming is this little kid that they've been showing from Marty was one of the kids that Marty took in, and I feel like I don't know if it was the first episode or where, but in the previous episode, a statement was made how like he had a bad case or a case gone wrong or something that alluded to that. So I'm assuming that this is the case that they've been talking about. Again, I'm not sure, but you know, if I was writing the show, this would be a kid that Marty took under, you know, kind of like how he did with Jacob. And it just totally went, as we see, for the worst. And that's really stuck with Marty.
I mean, it's definitely everything with this kid is informing his decisions dealing with Jacob.
Right.
His decision not to leave. Like he's, you get the feeling he returned this kid for whatever reason.
Right.
And when he did, it all went wrong. That he shouldn't have returned this kid to his family. He sees the dad, clearly like a deadbeat dad, like staying home drinking in the middle of the day.
Right. And who right off the bat, as Marty walks away from the door, like gives him a look. You know what I mean? And you just instantly get a bad vibe that something, unfortunately, is just really off in that home situation.
Yeah, and it's rough though, like to see what his past is like. And we get a little bit more of him running around with Maggie. The feds are coming is the other big thing that he's dealing with. Yes,
huge.
And I wonder if that was part of, I mean, it really depends on what this kid's story was that he had helped out. Like, I guess it was maybe the kid ran away. Yeah. Or he said he helped him solve a case. You really helped me solve that one.
Right.
And he pounded him.
So they were either doing that in a cute, fun way, you know what I mean? Kind of like playing cops or robbers, or it was legit, you know, obviously they don't look like they're in a good neighborhood. You know, maybe he saw something, whispered in Marty's ear. I think that little chunk could go either way. I don't know, you know, if that's going to make a difference in the long run in the scheme of things, or if that was just kind of trying to show his relationship to Marty. Yeah,
I mean, I get the feeling that the kid was sort of what you're saying, like a witness to something terrible, and he really helped. And when he brings him back, he gets that little moment where he sees what this kid's home life is.
Yeah.
And he lets him stay with that, what he can see is probably a bad situation. Right. Can't do anything about it because he's an officer of the law, and there's limitations to what he can do. But by following the rules, by following conduct, proper conduct, this kid got killed.
Lost his life.
And I think they were arresting the dad there.
I don't think he had cuffs on.
No, I guess not. But
yeah,
he was so cold about it.
Very cold. Very cold. Not a tear in the eye.
Yeah, it was. I'm not sure what maybe we'll get more of it. I'm sure he'll explain a little bit more of what really happened there. But then Caleb really brings it to him, and we'll get more into that whole scene because that's definitely that
was heavy
craziness. And Bellamy and the cops are searching Elaine's house,
which, I mean, gosh forbid, I've never had my house searched, but I feel like that was really. I don't know why they have to toss everything up in that crazy, especially. It
seemed like they were actually being fairly gentle compared to a lot of shows. Okay. Well, I only know this from television. My house has only been ransacked once before.
We'll talk about that later, you guys.
But I like in my mind, I'm always picturing like when they rush in and they take a knife out and they're cutting open pillows and they're like, where are the drugs, Elaine?
Right. I guess maybe just because it was her house. You know, I don't know, or maybe I just want to sympathize with her a little bit because I think her whole world has just been so turned upside down.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's sitting there. She got fired. Like,
and that voicemail, being fired in that manner.
What a dick. Maybe you should just not come in today.
Ever.
Or, ever.
So
get it? Have a good life.
Right. So completely unprofessional.
Like,
so
for
wrong.
something that, like, it's not entirely her fault. I mean, I guess
it's one of those guilty by association period.
I guess you have to fire somebody, but you at least are like, you go see, like, it's a small town.
Right.
These people all know each other.
For so long,
you're gonna run into each other at the local like coffee shop every now.
The local everything. They probably,
Yeah, Arcadia is not a big town.
Right. They have one grocery store, one coffee shop, maybe 2 gas stations.
Yeah. I mean, far is like, he's like, it's so far. It's on the other side of town. And it's like a park they can drive to in like 10 minutes. Caleb is I don't. He's.
I don't even know.
Like I don't even know where to start with Caleb. We get him. He's in jail.
Yes.
We go to him in jail and
whistling.
Oh, that creepy whistle. He's still whistling.
Still whistling.
I wonder, did we establish, was the whistling something he did when he was alive the first time? Oh,
that's a good question.
I get, like, I don't know, if we meet any more returned who are just whistling, we'll be like,
no.
Now there's something up.
Right. Or if it's Caleb's trademark, I think.
It's Caleb's trademark. But Caleb, he said, like, they have this conversation with him and Bellamy that they're just like, it's like, do you ever have nightmares? Like, he knew.
He knew. And he alluded to a lot of things about the episode that he just knew, which is so crazy to me.
They're kind of, that early conversation between Marty and Caleb, they really sort of get into that. Caleb knows a lot that he's not telling. And I'm wondering if it's because he's an adult, or does Jacob know as well? What does Rachel know? Now that we have three, and we're seeing three different perspectives on it, Caleb is the bad one.
Yes.
I think we've
definitely established that.
He clearly knows, but he clearly knows more than he's telling.
Yes. He definitely knows more, and he's obviously not using it for any sort of good. But then when we flash to Jacob, you know, Jacob knows that Caleb's gone, or Jacob knows this and that. I feel like maybe Caleb has more power in the sense, or whatever the universe is giving them. But I feel like all the returns, they have a little piece of the puzzle of what's going on. Maybe in the long run, I'm not sure. I think Caleb is definitely the high power.
I wonder if
in the three of them,
if the end game is that I'm going out on a limb.
You're pulling
here.
a Matt here.
Matt pulls a me.
Yeah, it's true.
Please. What if all of the returned are people that came back because they either were innocent or they had unfinished business, like in a sense, like there was something they were supposed to do. Caleb, I don't see as falling into that category necessarily.
Right, I don't either.
But because we're seeing he's not a good guy. He's a bad guy, at least as we can see him now.
Yes, agreed.
What if he was like the one who tricked his way in to come back? Like he wasn't supposed to. Like he's a red herring.
Okay.
If we're supposed to believe that it's supposed to be that everyone is coming back as someone good, somebody that's being rewarded or something like that. Caleb is the one who tricked his way in, and it's like,
and
and so everybody else will see as like good people, and he's the one who got through. I have other wild theories that are completely different.
Okay,
but
I won't totally discard that. I see where you're going with it, but to play the devil's advocate, I feel like, let's say Rachel, in my mind right now, to Tom, I think Rachel's going to completely destroy his marriage. So you could look at that, you know, as a very bad thing.
But intentionally, or just like she destroys their marriage just by existing. Very
true.
Sorry.
As of last week's episode, I would 100% say intentionally. But now the news that we find out of her this episode,
that's a whole big discussion that we're going to get into. But it's an interesting. We're getting into crazy theories very early on, which I love. I don't know. There's so many things that Rachel could do. I feel like with Rachel, it's the fact that that's true of any relationship, though.
Absolutely. Once someone comes back,
showing back up in your life in normal circumstances can cause problems, not because there was any infidelity, not because the husband
just
wanted to, but like it causes old emotions to be stirred up. Because, and I don't want to get started too much on Tom and his wife and Rachel, because that's a whole track. Let's talk about it now. Let's talk about it now. All right, let's get into it. We'll get back to Caleb. We'll get back to Caleb in a minute. Tom, and I really appreciated the wife really endeared herself to me.
She did
in that moment where she comes in
that little moment.
I'm sorry for being one of those women. And like, cause she like when you get news like that, first of all, I think she was somewhat justified in her reaction.
Oh my goodness, absolutely.
If not a bigger one.
Yeah, I think her action was completely downplayed. I have to say that, you know,
I mean,
if that was me, I think I would have reacted a little differently.
I mean, here's the thing, is that like, it was not big enough and too big at the same time, because on the one hand, he didn't tell you about his dead girlfriend
at all. That
huge
she
part of
even
his life.
existed.
It's not like you're dating. You're married.
Right.
They're married.
Yeah,
he should have
proposed to this other girl.
And that's bad. Like, it would be bad enough if he just didn't tell her that he had been engaged. Like, I could almost see that, like, leaving out that tiny detail. Well,
maybe don't listen to him. Any males out there?
I'm not suggesting it. I'm just saying that I could see how he could just like leave out that and still tell her, like, I had a very serious relationship that ended when she died.
Right.
Because that's what you tell people.
Right.
Even if you, and like leaving out the engagement is like a small but big thing.
Yeah.
But she doesn't like really freak out about that. But she is like, you need to tell her to leave town forever. This person who just appeared back from the dead and has nobody else in the world. But now she's a little bit more calm about it and reasonable, except for the part where she's totally justified in being mad at him and suspicious.
Well, she should be, because Tom's sneaking around behind his wife's back.
Like, he's like getting out of bed, and you're like, oh no, don't do it, Tom. Don't do it, Tom.
Yeah, that's what you said out loud. That was great.
He's sneaking out. I thought he was wearing jeans for a second because he's wearing those blue pajamas. I was like, did he just wear jeans to bed? And he's like, that's dark. But then he goes to a motel room.
Right, where he put her up.
Where he's paying for a motel room, and she's there in a robe.
Tom Hale, high roller.
He gives her a hug in her she's in a robe. Just a robe.
Right.
As a man, I can say, if a woman hugs you in a robe, there's implications there.
Yes. In a hotel. Just to throw that up.
Anywhere. It could be anywhere that you're in just a robe. And then she says, like, she thinks or Tom says she thinks I'm helping someone in need.
Which, okay.
Come on, Tom.
Tom, get it together. Stop
Tom.
lying. But he and Rachel made a point. She said, well, you're really not lying in that sense, because she does need help.
Yeah, withholding
in
information is lying.
100%. Not an advocate of a liar. But they were trying to find a common ground to justify, and they totally found it. It's not hard to see that Rachel needs help. So, I mean, can go either way.
The good way to do about this is to be like, no, I need her to stay, or she needs my help. She's going to stay while I help her, but you don't have anything to be worried about because I'm not going to cheat on you with her. Except that would probably be a lie. Yeah, and then the big twist, the small twist.
Okay, let's
that
start small.
She was friends with Jacob and Tom.
Right.
When they were kids. The fact that she was friends with Jacob is an interesting little addition, because it ties people more together.
I could kind of see them being like the Three Musketeers sort of thing.
Yeah,
like
it's cute. And
the three little best friends.
I would love to see. I'm excited to see when Jacob sees her, because if they
what their connection.
Yeah, because they were friends as kids, and now they share being a returned.
But Jacob is which I think is a really cool dynamic that they did. Tom and Rachel are older, and still old enough, and Jacob is, this little
Jacob's kid. Just got his catching fireflies to worry about.
Right.
Whereas Tom and Rachel have to worry about that she's pregnant.
Dun, dun, dun.
She's pregnant.
I called it. I just have to say out loud before Maggie said it.
I mean, it's like she sees something on the test, and she's gotten dizzy spells.
Right. She's not feeling well.
Pregnant.
Totally pregnant.
But the baby was dead. Now the baby's back. What's happening?
Oh, that's true.
It raises so many questions, because this is now we sort of have 4 returned.
Okay, I don't know why my mind didn't even go there. Obviously, if she died, then the baby would have had to die too.
Yeah, I mean, it raises a bunch of questions with the science of what's going on here. And I want to talk more about the science in a little bit.
But first.
No, not first. I want to talk about science, but I have a whole thing to talk about with that because there's so many details that we've now started to get because they can get pregnant.
Right.
What do you think the pregnancy is going to do to Tom and to his wife?
Like I said, their marriage is over. You should consider it over.
But I like her now.
Tom doesn't even know that she's pregnant at this point, and he's already so googly-eyed over Rachel being back. He's already lied to his wife.
He clearly still loves Rachel.
Oh my goodness, you could tell I don't think obviously he ever wanted to let her go. That wasn't his decision. But now that she's back, and he's already right off the bat, I think without even thought, has already lied to his wife, and not more than once, and. So now when you throw a child into that factor, I think it changes everything.
Well, the fact is he probably has this desire to go back to Rachel, but knows
and
better
now,
than
talk about an excuse.
Yeah, it's like, no, I have to go raise my love baby.
Right, I have to go take care of this kid for the kid's future. And on the wife's standpoint, what is, throw that mix in there, what is she supposed to do? Stand by while her husband...
And this other baby. I mean, like, I kind of want to get, I hope we do get, as we go forward, a little bit more of their dynamic as a married couple, because I like her right now. Like, I wasn't sure last week. She acted a little weird, but,
I
like,
agree.
I like her.
She wanted me back this week.
I can see, like, her forgiveness, like, her ability to see that and forgive Tom, like, for a weird circumstance. Like, I understand.
It's completely out of his control. So
yeah,
that was...
but now it is in his control, and hopefully he opens up, but I doubt it. I doubt it so much, unless Rachel goes straight to her.
To the wife?
Yeah, she's like,
oh, I don't think so. That would be really malicious.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's so tough because it's the kind of thing where nobody did anything wrong.
Right.
And that's the thing. You can almost not fault Tom for what he's doing because
this happened before. I'm sure he even met his current wife.
Exactly. Oh well, yeah. I mean, she died 12 years ago.
Okay,
he didn't cheat on her,
right?
But now they deal with the fallout of it as if he did.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
It's crazy, and it's so crazy. There's so much to talk about. Let's take a quick break. Okay. Before we move on and talk about iTunes. Folks at home, thank you so much for listening. I love seeing all of your comments. This is the busiest comment section on YouTube of any show I've ever done on AfterBuzz. And I've been like, I love responding to you guys and having we can get into these crazy discussions. Let us know what you're thinking, because
please do, because we read them and we want to know.
I have so many crazy theories. I can only imagine what you all have out there. I know Matt's somewhere tonight. He's gonna freak out when he watches this episode.
He's gonna come back with a novel of theories next week.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna
be sitting here for 3 hours.
We're gonna feed into it. But here's the thing, guys. We need your help to make this a great show. It's not just about us feeling good when you send us your reviews, though we do. It's not just about you making us look good to our bosses here at AfterBuzz, but you do. Which, by the way, you can rate on iTunes. You can thumbs up on YouTube. You can also just drop a line to info@AfterBuzzTV.com, I believe it is. Marissa, is that?
That is correct.
Thumbs up.
And you know what? Also, they can download.
Tell us.
Oh, that's right. Now you can go on to your iPhone or Android device and download the AfterBuzz TV app.
We'll go anywhere with you.
That's right. In one convenient place with just a couple easy little clicks, you can be listening to a world of podcasts. Over 70 shows a week.
It's very exciting. It's really cool.
I've issued this challenge before, and I challenge you all to listen to all of that in a week. Unless you're bedridden, and if you are, I hope you feel better soon. I challenge you to be able to listen to all of the free content. And just like that content is free, the app is free, and you can download it and then just listen to whatever you'd like. You can, and then you can watch on YouTube. You can see us on the screen. and listen to us in your car. So many ways. So many ways.
We'll never
and
leave you.
when you rate us on iTunes, you also get a quick little shout out on the show. So
right,
I want to thank
us?
some people who rated us on iTunes. Jama Provi. I'm so sorry. J May Provi. I don't know where the letters fall
They're
on this.
so mad at you right now.
Yeah, they're furious. But they say, great job. Thanks for doing such an amazing job recapping the show. I listen to many AfterBuzz podcasts, and you guys are some of my favorite hosts. Yeah.
There we go.
Daffy1227 says, love the podcast. Love the podcast and how you guys talk the show out. I was wondering, you think they're going to do the 7 deadly sins? Jacob, gluttony. Caleb, greed. The mother, lust. The new girl, envy.
That's really interesting.
I hadn't thought about the 7 deadly sins before. I'm
all.
not sure that Lucille falls to lust.
I don't think so whatsoever.
Like lusting after like a thing, but that's not really what they mean by lust and sins.
Right.
But who knows who else is coming? Caleb is definitely greed.
Definitely.
Rachel is definitely showing us envy. Mm-hmm. She's going to be envious.
Yes.
Jacob, I'm not sure what Jacob would be. He's so innocent as a child.
He's so innocent.
But who knows what we're going to see. It's a very interesting theory. I like it, Daffy. GL says, very enjoyable. I'm a fan of the AfterBuzz podcast. It's like sitting around the water cooler the next day and dishing about last night's TV. Good hosts, interesting discussions and theory. Highly recommended.
I love that analogy. That was very cool.
I mean, that's what I love about doing AfterBuzz is like, because I don't have a water cooler. I'm like I freelance on like a number of different projects, so I don't have people I can go into and be
hey
like,
guys, did you watch
hey,
this?
did you watch? I have to like find people, be like, did you watch? They're like, no, I don't have time to keep up. We power watch them. And I was like, well, get back to me.
Yeah.
Please. It's
catch up so we can talk about it.
But that's why I love AfterBuzz and why we're going to get right back into it.
Let's do it.
And jump back into Caleb's story, which we got diverted from by the craziness of a pregnancy, as television often does. They're like, pregnancy, and we're like, what?
Yeah,
Where?
right?
Caleb is, so he's just stuck in the jail, and he managed to drop a hint to Elaine through,
about the park.
He convinces them to bring Elaine to him.
Yes.
He's like, I want to see my daughter. Bring me my daughter. And she comes, and I want to just like get through this real quick so we can talk about that whole conversation. Like Elaine finds the note, which that was was
super smart. I feel like
it was super smart of him. Like it was a great diversionary tactic because he had to know. And I'm like, you know that they're gonna go to that park now.
Wait. At first, when he said it, I thought it was cool how they made that happen. But in the back of my mind, I was like, that was way too easy. You know, he's not gonna say the park in that tone, and then
part of me thought they were gonna like find a bomb.
Yeah.
If this was a different show, they would have found a bomb at the park. But no, he was just giving her a hint to find the note, and it was the note that he was buried with. Which the fact that he had it was like very touching to Elaine. It hit her like right where it counts,
as it should,
and it tells her where he put the money. And then she takes the sledgehammer to the porch. And as soon as they zoom into the porch, it's like, oh, of course.
Of course. Right. 'Cause he had spent so much time working on that porch, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Although I don't know why she had to smash it.
I think it was good therapy.
Yeah.
She's a little angry.
I mean, he didn't build the porch around the money. He didn't like go steal the money, come back, build a porch, and then go off.
Yeah.
So maybe he like pried up a board or two and then like put it in. But either way, she smashes the porch up, finds the money, gives it back.
Says, I don't want this.
Yeah, she doesn't want, but like that before that conversation between Caleb and Elaine was intense.
Very intense.
You could see his heart break.
But you know what? I feel like it should break, and it should break again. And I was really proud of Elaine. I gained a lot of respect for her because I think throughout this, you know, she seems like such a character that really thinks with her emotions, you know, as opposed to her brain, which I completely relate to. So that's why watching her, you know, taking Caleb's side through all this time, you know, and saying, you know, Daddy, and I believe in you, and I'm so happy you're back, without even thinking about it. You know, I think now it shows how she's emotionally hurt, and it's, you know, getting at her a lot. So when she could just walk in there and say, you know, called Caleb out for this, this, and this, and put both of her feet down and then walked out. That was a really big moment, I think, that we'll always remember for Elaine.
Yeah, I mean, he strikes me as a guy who is he was just never aware of how bad a job he was doing as a father. Like it never occurred. He's such a selfish person. It never occurred to him that
these kids need a father.
Yeah, that these people need him to do things. Like when you're a parent, you are not in it by yourself anymore.
Right.
You can't just do things. Because when you do things, they affect your children, whether you want them to or not. And it was selfish of him to live his life the way he did. And she calls him out on it. She's like, you are terrible. You're trying to say that that's a parenting strategy.
Oh, I love that line.
It's BS. And she's just like, you haven't. And she wanted him to be different. She wanted him to be the good parts that she forced herself to remember after he died. Because that's what happens when somebody leaves. You either focus on the good or the bad, and that's what you're going to remember.
Yes, absolutely.
It's rare that I think you remember both sides of somebody when they're gone.
Right. I think you just you pick a side, and those are the memories and the emotions and everything that you hold on to. So, she, I mean, bless her heart, she really took the good, and she really wanted to believe, and he completely disappointed.
And now she realizes that, she says, you haven't changed at all.
And never will.
And and she walks out, and then that's when it gets nuts.
Crazy.
That's when this just goes off the walls, and I'm sitting there in like my sci-fi little like mind wheels are turning. I don't even know what to think, because he's like dry mouthed when Bellamy comes in at the end. He's like, he brings the money and smacks down. He's like, I took it, or like she turned it in. She didn't want it. She didn't want this thing. I'm reminded of I can't say. I'm not going to spoil it in case people.
Yeah, don't say anything.
I'm not even going to say. Sorry. If you know what I'm talking about with the return of the money for your kids, if you watch this show. I'm sorry. Anyway, back on track.
Okay, back. Let's go back.
He's like, but he's dry mouth. He's like breathing heavy. Something's wrong, and we're sitting there like, and they're just like, she doesn't like you, like. Everything you've done since you've been back is for naught. He's like trying to communicate something to Bellamy. And he knows about, like, this is the crazy part, is that he has some like psychic ability. He like knows.
Right, that's the whole point, that he knows what Bellamy was going through.
He didn't just know that Bellamy had a nightmare, as he hinted before.
He knew exactly to the kid. He was totally tugging at his heartstrings. Do you want to know if he's okay? Do you want to know where he is? If he's at peace?
Yeah, he answered like, ask the real question that you want to ask.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. It's like, nobody can ask direct questions in this town.
Right, because if we did, we'd be missing,
Yeah, but it's like,
we have to have
ask
some
the real question you want to ask. Is he at peace? And he's like, I need water. And that's when Bellamy like stops storming out. He's like, let me get you some water, please.
Yeah.
Please.
Do you want some ice cubes with that? Yeah. Lemon?
And then the bubble goes, and then gone. And I like threw my pen in the air. I'm just like, what?
I thought for a second it was just going to show him just like going crazy. You know what I mean? Just having a moment, kind of a weird flashback, and then he turned around and he really wasn't there.
This is where it got nuts, because Caleb was like, he's gone now.
Gone.
And but before he went, in this episode, he dropped a ton of theories on us. He like stuff for us to build theories with. There are more coming. Like not just Rachel. That implies there. He says there are a lot more coming, more than you can imagine.
Right.
Who else is it? All the Civil War people that died. Like, is anybody that died in that river coming back? Are those 3 people that died in the airplane downstream that Ray is talking about? You got to imagine like a bunch of people scattered their ashes in there.
Yeah.
Are they all just going to come back like a flood one day?
No.
They're just going to be an army of like returned marching up to the halls?
I don't think that's where this is going.
But it raises like, those questions of like, how many are coming? Who are they? Why? And again, we're just the why and the how. But I'm thinking like, he's like, the instant he starts to get dry mouthed and he's like clearly there's something wrong. it's not like they were depriving him of water and food at that police station.
So that must mean for the returns, that's what
and
happened.
It's right before he disappears. It's right after the reason that he would have come back is done and not like he can't do it anymore.
He can't do it anymore.
He failed. He failed. So are they all back with a mission of some kind?
They could be. Rachel could be here, to give Tom a child. Maybe Tom and his wife, for all we know, can't have a child, or, maybe Jacob is back to, heal his parents' heart because, no parent should have to bury their child.
Or even if it's not something like
look at it that way,
for those people, but it's something for that person. Like Caleb wanted to he wanted to protect his kids in his weird way. He was doing that by stealing all this money for them. Like when he stole it the first time.
Yeah.
When he stole it the first time, he did it for them. He tried to put it away for them. And then it was gone. And he couldn't. So he just did what he does. He robbed the bank.
Yeah.
And he tried to leave it for her so that nobody else could touch it. But come on, man.
Yeah.
When Elaine suddenly keep rolling down in a Porsche and she still works at the bank, someone's gonna know. She works at a bank.
We're gonna know something.
Someone's gonna know that she's suddenly got all this money. But as soon as that thing has failed, gone. He's back to being dead in a flash. He's gone.
Gone. And Jacob knew that he was gone.
Jacob did know that he was gone. And Jacob's story is like developing. He's kind of like hit his stride. Like he is where he is.
Well.
Henry, dealing with Jacob, has been. He comes to peace with it in this episode.
I think this episode was really huge for Henry. He, it's always baby steps. He outwardly admitted to Lucille that he was right. He was finally ready to let go and to love this boy because he saw how much he was hurting Jacob. Because Jacob made a comment. He said, "You think that I'm weird or strange."
Well, he asked him to check his windows because we had those creepy teenagers. Like, look, it's the ghost kid.
Right.
And Fred stopped them from doing it again.
Right, but my point was when he was in bed, and Jacob said, "The kids think I'm strange," and he said, "So do you." I'm sure, as a father figure, to hear that from a child, that has to break his heart. So I think that really put Henry over.
Even if he doesn't think that Jacob is his kid, any kid telling you, like, you think I'm weird, is like, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And like, as a weird kid, as like someone who was a weird child, like that can just destroy you.
Oh, I'm sure. So when Henry went to go, that big scene and, when he's looking through the real Jacob.
He talks to Lucille and he's like, I want to let our original, the Jacob OG, I want to let him go. That's how I'm going to refer to them from now on.
Jacob
it's
OG.
Like Caleb OG, Caleb returned, Jacob OG,
Done
Jacob
deal.
returned. He wants to let Jacob OG let him go. And she says the only way you're going to do that is you have to let yourself feel it. And so he goes, like we talked early on about her box of clothes and everything, her keepsakes, how she remembered it. She had a collection of things. He had just a book of photos wrapped in his blanket. And that was a tough scene.
I think it was really tough, but I think it was very enlightening. I think you could just feel Henry, he became very emotional, and you could feel him hang on a little tighter and then completely let go, I feel like. Which I think it's a huge step, and hopefully it'll just be so much better from Jacob and him here on out.
It was a great performance from Kurtwood Smith.
Absolutely.
I really felt for him in that
did
moment.
Too.
I mean,
I feel like it was so real that I wanted to just hug him and tell him it was okay.
Those scenes are really tough because they can be those kind of scenes can be played way over the top and super melodramatic.
Right.
But this was contained, small. Like we didn't linger on the book. He couldn't do it for too long.
Right.
Enough that we like really felt for him. Like that moment where you look through photo albums of people that you've lost or people you've broken up with, people that are no longer in your life for whatever reason. It's tough to look at the happy times without thinking about the loss. And we really, really felt that from him. So real quick, let's talk about Maggie in this episode.
Okay.
I thought she's covering for Rachel now. She's now a confidant of hers. But at the end, and I mainly just want to talk about her at the end.
Yeah,
she
who does
calls
she call?
Dr. Eric Ward, I think his name was.
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
And why is she bringing him into a mix of such?
I imagine that he's a mentor or some kind, like somebody, like a professor that she's super trusted.
But that's a big step for her to take without consulting anyone. You know, I mean, I feel like that's a huge leap for her to take to call someone. She's obviously going to give them all the information. I mean, she has to have a lot of trust in this doctor to help her and guide her through this without, you know, him calling someone else.
Yeah, I mean, the feds are on their way.
They're absolutely.
Caleb is gone. In anyone else's mind, he escaped.
Yeah.
They don't know, and they don't know how. But like we know
what's going on.
Yeah. Well, do
no,
we?
we don't.
Do we? It's there's so many questions that we can. I want to talk about the title also of this episode. The title, and then that'll lead us into. I want to talk about the science that's going on here on the return. The title of this episode is Insomnia, which is one of the scientific things about this.
That they can't sleep. The returns.
They can't sleep. I wish that they'd gotten a little bit more into that.
I don't think they got into it whatsoever in this episode.
They didn't, and it was actually something I was disappointed about, like just because of the title being Insomnia.
Well, here's the thing. I know for someone, you know, I go to sit on my couch to turn the TV. I think it's fair to say 98% of the time of a show that I watch, that episode, I don't know the name to it.
No,
so I wouldn't hang on too much of that, but I see your point.
When I saw the title, I thought, oh, we'll get an answer about why they don't sleep. But these are the things that we know about them so far. They don't sleep, or they don't sleep. It's very difficult for them to sleep at the very least. They don't eat much. They're super hungry, so they have a very high metabolism. So like their energy, like they don't need to sleep, but they eat a ton of food to keep that energy up. So they burn a lot of energy, but they don't need a lot of time to recuperate it. It's interesting. The note was there, so that what they were physically wearing at the time of death, or the time where their body was destroyed, because Jacob's wearing the same sweater.
That's right.
Caleb is wearing the same suit, but Caleb was burned to ashes. So it wasn't the moment they died, and that note only went in there at the funeral.
Right, he was buried in that note, so that's how the note's there.
Well, he was cremated.
Oh.
That note was burned up. That's the crazy part. So I don't know when they copied or when they did a little 3D printer scan of whatever they did.
Yeah.
We know that they can sense each other, and we know that they can continue a pregnancy through this whole process.
Thank you, Rachel.
So they are the same person in a sense. Like if you were truly able to create a carbon copy of what they were at that moment, I guess that would include a baby. But when they took, so I'm calling it a scan, when they took that is the big question. If it is. And we know that they can just disappear at a moment's notice. And water, he gets super thirsty when he's about to disappear. Water is clearly a big theme because of the river. So the river of life in him, if you will, dried up. He got super thirsty and then boom, vanished like ashes in the wind.
Well,
I wonder if he vanished like that because he was ash. He was ashes as somebody who was cremated.
Maybe if they all disappear, they go a different way.
Maybe. Let's get into predictions
real
quick, and then we'll wrap it up. Because I could go there's a million different ways.
Let's wrap it up.
Next week we have some craziness. Henry, I can't lose him because they're clearly scared because Bellamy rushed in this episode and he's like freaking out because he thinks Jacob's going to be gone too, but he's not. He's totally fine.
Thank goodness.
Totally fine. But is he gone now? Like, or is that just him freaking out about like, could he be gone? And the part that I'm latching onto about next week, Helen. Crazy
I hate
freaking Helen. I hate you so much.
I hate her.
Could she be behind this whole thing?
No.
No.
Helen is not behind this. She's just a cranky old lady.
But she's like,
with a power struggle.
You don't know what you are. I wonder if it's because Rachel seems so innocent and she's like...
Yeah, I think that might have been taken out of... Not out of context.
Well, intentionally taken out of context.
Right. But at the end of the day, I think that was probably just two women being really snobby. And
so what predictions do you have for us for next week?
I think Tom's wife is definitely going to find out what's going on. 100%. I think that's going to be a main thing.
I think that's a safe bet.
I
think that's a
really
safe bet.
involved in that whole little circle.
I think that Bellamy is going to find a way to delay the feds, but I think that this doctor we're meeting is going to
play a huge
he's
part.
going to bring in. He's not going to keep it quiet, and he's going to be part of the world expanding out. Because we're coming down like we're about, I think we're something like halfway through the season at this point. There's so much to do. So until we find out more answers, that's going to do it for us at AfterBuzz TV on the Resurrection panel. I hope you can get some sleep at home because I'm going to be up all night thinking about all these theories with insomnia.
There you go.
Get it?
There you go. Pun intended.
Chelsea Briche, where can the people find you online?
Let's see. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram. My handle is at @CBriche, CBRICHE.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at @ZachWilson, ThatZachWilson. And also here at AfterBuzz on Archer and Grimm. I'm Zach Wilson. Thanks for geeking out with us.
Thanks, you guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.